You're here as always. So this week I am talking more about the Hammerskins. The questions I get asked the most about my time with the Hammerskins is how I joined and how I left. And I've even had people asking me how they can join. So today on this video, I'm going to delve into it. I'm going to go deep into this. I am going to share some details which I haven't shared before because I have talked about this previously, not in great detail. That's changing today. I am going to be telling you about how and why I joined and how and why I left and all the repercussions that followed. Let's get into it. Let's talk about how to join the Hammerskins and how to get out. So when I was first introduced to the Hammerskins, I didn't even know what they were. I'd never heard of them. I didn't even realize that there was a worldwide patch skinhead organization. This is all fairly new to me. I'd only been to a couple of meet and greets previous to meeting the Hammerskin, and there was only one Hammerskin in Brisbane at the time, and there was also a prospect. Now, I met both of them at one of the meet and greets, and yeah, hit it off. And I became intrigued. I became really intrigued about the whole Hammerskin nation. I had just come from the MC world. I was still kind of in it. And I was looking for something like this. And I thought, well, this is great. You know, I'll definitely, see where this goes. I didn't jump right into the whole Hammerskin thing. I didn't even jump right into the whole skinhead scene. I took my time with getting to know everyone. And that actually helped me later on when I actually wanted to become a Hammerskin. The thing is it's not a straight, clear-cut path to becoming a Hammerskin. It's not just, okay, right, well, I'll do this, here's my checklist, I'll fill out my application form and hand it over. It doesn't work that way. These guys are very, very closed off. They're very secretive, pretty much underground, even though it's spread worldwide, it wasn't out in the open. And the only way you could become a Hammerskin was by spending time with the Hammerskins. And it's kind of the same with a lot of motorcycle clubs as well. You've got to be a hang-around before you can even be asked to prospect and all that kind of stuff. The Hammerskins were no different. They didn't take on just anyone. I spent a couple of years hanging out with these guys. I started going to all the events, all the social gatherings, and anytime there was a barbecue, I would turn up. And then I actually started having barbecues at my place and inviting everyone from the scene. And of course, the main Hammerskin and Prospect were always there, and we became friends. And it turned out I actually knew the Prospect. I had tattooed him years earlier, and we became really good friends. So after spending a fair bit of time with these guys and really getting to know them and becoming good friends and really immersing myself in that scene, I thought, well, I want to take this a little bit further. And I started talking to them about joining. My wife at the time didn't want me to become a part of it. She didn't want me to sign up to anything. But then Crew 38 started up in Australia. Now, Crew 38 was a supporter club for the Hammerskins. Crew 38 was a stepping stone to becoming a Hammerskin, or it was for people who couldn't or wouldn't commit to being a Hammerskin, or for those who just didn't fit the criteria of being a Hammerskin. But what was the criteria for being a Hammerskin? Did you have to be a certain height, certain weight, all that kind of stuff? Well, there was certain criteria. There was a few things, but it was mostly you had to be white, obviously. You had to hold racial beliefs. You had to be working full-time, looking for a full-time employment, and drugs were not allowed at all. So you couldn't be a drugged out, jobless bum living on the street. And so did I fit the criteria? Did I fit the bill? Well, yes, I did, because after about 6 months of me being in Crew 38, I was offered a prospect patch. And when they first offered me the prospect patch, I talked to my wife about it, and she just went, no, I'll leave you. If you do that, I'm out. Cool. So I turned it down. Not long after, I traveled to Melbourne and met with some of the other Hammerskins for the first time. I had met some of them briefly the year before, but they didn't really talk to me. Hammerskins were very standoffish, especially in Australia. If they didn't know you, they generally wouldn't want to know you. It was a bit of a clique. And so after being offered a prospect patch and turning it down, that's when they started actually wanting to know me. And I got to talk to one of the older members for quite a while because he wanted to understand why I turned this patch down. I was like, how can you turn down the Hammerskin patch? How can you not want to be a part of this, you know, all for a woman? That kind of stuff. But then I started really throwing myself into the movement, and, you know, eventually my wife left me because I had just really thrown myself into the movement and, you know, really become a big part of it. The brothers from Brisbane came down and said, do you want a prospect? Yes, absolutely I do. They knew that my wife had left me, so they were straight down there and like, come on, brother, it's your time now. Okay, cool. So what was involved in becoming a prospect? What was that process? To be a prospect of the nation, you actually had to be nominated by 2 full-patched Hammerskins from your chapter. And then we had to go to the national meeting in September. Now, the national meetings are basically a once-a-year meeting where all the Hammerskins prospects, Crew 38, get together. It is a compulsory meeting for everyone involved in the nation. For all new members, prospects, it had to be put to a vote. So you had to be voted in and it had to be unanimous. Now with Crew 38, no voting necessary. It was literally like you pay $50 a year, you get your patch, you're Crew 38, and you know, go and support us at all the events and all that kind of good stuff. But being a prospect was a little bit of a step up. And yes, there was that criteria. But as far as the commitments, what did we have to do as a prospect? Because a prospect is a prospective member. So this is your time to really prove yourself worthy of that Hammerskin patch. So you do whatever you have to do. You know, you do whatever you're told to do. And that's the thing. As a prospect, you are a bit of a slave to the seniors. Now, I was lucky. I never got treated badly. I never got told to do dumb shit. In fact, I think the only time was when one of my brothers walked up and I was wearing my prospect shirt and he said to me, hey, prospect, how good are you washing cars? I'm like, I'll tell you how good I am. Give me your keys and I'll take it up the road to the car wash. I'll pay $20 to have it washed instead. And he just laughed and that was it. I was also doing a lot for the scene at that time. I had actually organized Hammered Music Festival on the Gold Coast, and I was doing a lot to promote the scene. I was really vocal and well known on most of the forums, and I organized a lot of get-togethers even at my house. Most of the monthly meetups ended up being at my house because I had a nice big house on the Gold Coast and everyone would come down. So I really started entrenching myself in this life, and I was a great prospect. So you have to be a prospect for at least 12 months minimum. After 12 months, there is a vote at the national meeting, and if it's unanimous, you get voted in. And that's what happened. There was myself and 2 other prospects. We'd all started prospecting at the same time. One was from Adelaide and one was from Melbourne, and I was from the Gold Coast. We did our 12 months prospect period and we went to the next national. And we're all nervous as shit because it's not guaranteed. You know, it's all basically according to your last 12 months and how you did, what you did, and all that kind of stuff. Luckily, all 3 of us were solid guys. We were really well known in the scene. We went to the compulsory national meeting, as I said. We were called into the room, which was basically just a garden shed with a table and chairs in it. So yes, we all got handed our full patches. We all became Hammerskins on that day. And I have to admit, I was stoked. I was over the moon. I had achieved what I've been working on for the last couple of years, was to become a Hammerskin. I'd made it. It's like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. That elation really didn't last long. Don't get me wrong, it was cool, you know, especially that next night, you know, because we had a big gig the next night. And it was my first gig as a Hammerskin, and I was allowed to wear my Hammerskin shirt. Because that's the thing. There was a lot of things we weren't allowed to do as a prospect. You know, we could only wear prospect shirts. You know, we had a lot of club gear. You know, we had our patches, of course, but then we had T-shirts and all other stuff, you know, our belts made up and everything. But you can only wear them once you're a full member. So the first thing we did is we put on our T-shirt. We're marching around, we're mighty Hammerskins. Woohoo, yeah, cool, we're the elite, right? Yeah, elitists more than elite. that's for sure. I talked about why I left a lot. It was basically, you know, just the stress and the racism and, you know, being raided and all the bullshit that went along with it just wasn't worth it to me anymore. And then, of course, I had an absolutely horrid trip to the United States, which I talk about in this video. And that for me was a nail in the coffin, you know, because I wanted to travel back to the US. I wanted to go reconnect with some old friends, and they didn't want any part of the Hammerskin lifestyle. They didn't want part of the racism. In fact, a few of my friends had distanced themselves from me because of that. And I wanted to reconnect with them. Had been friends for a long, long time. And they were still my friends, but they were just like, hey, you know, just at a distance while you're going through this phase. And so I decided, that's it, I'm out. So how did I leave? And this is a question that I get asked the most. How did I leave? What was it like to leave? I had become a bit of a nutcase by that point. I was angry as fuck. I was huge. I was a big dude. I was training martial arts, and I was training with some very serious fucking people. I had become that. So when it came to leaving, I thought, well, I'm going to have to leave this way. I thought, well, I'll see how it goes first. So the first thing I did is I contacted my brothers. Now, the first one I contacted in Brisbane, who was my closest friend in that scene. And I told him my reasons. And I told him it was because I just wanted a change in life. It wasn't because I hated them or didn't want to be a part of it. I just wanted a better life. I wanted a change in direction. I wanted to go back to the States and have a successful trip. Yeah, and he's like, I understand, brother. It's all good. I still love you anyway, even if you don't have the patch. Blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, great. So I continued and contacted all the other members in Australia and talked to them as well. One of the senior members talked to me for a few days afterwards, trying to convince me to stay, change my mind. But I had decided that was it. I needed to get out. I was done with it. I contacted one of my brothers in Brisbane to come and pick up all my stuff. So that's the thing, when you leave, you have to return everything. And that includes patches, anything with the club name on it, you know, t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. Everything belongs to the Hammerskin Nation. And it's the same with motorcycle clubs. When you leave, you can't take your patch. And it's the same with tattoos. You've got to have your tattoos either covered, removed, or dated, with the dates that you joined and dates that you left, if you left on good standing, as I did. A few weeks later, I get a phone call from one of the brothers in Melbourne. And it's to tell me that they'd had a meeting and they had voted me out on bad standing. Okay, what's this about? So I said to the member, I said, okay, well, I'm out on bad standing. What does that mean? You know, what does bad standing mean? It means that you're out on bad. So you can't attend any of the events, you can't attend any of the gigs or anything like that. You are out of the scene completely. And I said to him, well, I suppose I'm beat on sight then as well, you know, because that's part of bad standing, right? And he said to me, yeah, you are. To which I said, oh, yeah, and which one of you is going to do it? Seriously. And I actually ran into one of their prospects about a month later. I was walking out of an elevator and he was walking in, and I turned around, I was like, hey, what's up? Let's go. And he's just pushing this button, like, trying to get the door shut. So when I was talking to this brother, at that stage, I was still very much angry. I was still very much in that state of mind. And yeah, and when he told me that, I said, well, just remember, I know where you live, pal. And I'll come around to your house early hours in the morning, I'll drag you out of bed, and I'll beat you to death in front of your family. That was my mindset at that time. That's how far I had gone. That's how angry I had become. But I had just gotten to that point where I was like, wow, this is what I've become. This is how far I've gone down the drain. That's not me. You know, the next few months, I received a lot of threats. I received a lot of hate, which was expected. Oh, yeah, cool, whatever. So overall, that whole leaving, it was pretty chaotic. You know, like I said, a lot of threats, a lot of anger, a lot of bullshit, and a lot of stress. I eventually got out and got away. I went back to the US and I reconnected with a lot of friends, and I started on my healing journey, which I've talked about. So at the end of the day, yeah, the Hammerskins were seen as the elite, and that's why it was more difficult to join. But then they became elitists. I've heard from so many people who wanted to join SCHS or HSN, but were treated like absolute crap because the Hammerskins saw themselves as better than everyone. They were the top tier skinheads. But in reality, they weren't. They were just living on an old reputation of what the nation used to be. It's not like that anymore, and it's definitely not worth joining. Like, if I was ever going to pick an organization to join, if I had a choice now, it wouldn't be the Hammerskins, that's for sure. So if you're thinking about joining the Hammerskins, yeah, good luck to you. So there you go. That's a little bit more detail about how I joined and how I left the Hammerskins. I will be doing a few more of these videos coming up soon, and I am actually going to be interviewing some ex-Hammerskins very soon for the channel, and a couple of other guys who weren't Hammerskins but were very prominent in the scene, very well known. I'm going to be interviewing them soon, so stay tuned for that. And if you want to keep supporting me and supporting the channel, many different ways you can do it. You can buy me a coffee, you can buy my merchandise, that'll be awesome. Patreon or membership on this channel. You can sign up on this one and there's no prospect period required. You can just become a member, full member. Hey, as always, if you just give this video a big like, subscribe down below and hit that little bell to get notified of new videos coming out, be much appreciated. I'll see you on Thursday for another awesome video or live stream starting in about 10 minutes. Jump on the channel and come over and have a chat. But take care, everyone. Have a great week. Peace out and love and light to you.